Hello all our Grade 10 Business Studies learners, and welcome to our lesson where we are going to focus on the macro environment, meaning and components, and specifically some practice and application questions. So let's start with our practice questions. Our first question asks, define the macro environment. So define means we want to discuss the meaning of macro environment. So always remember the macro environment is then our broader external environment, and what happens is the macro environment is always changing and developing, and although the business has no control over this environment, they should always be able to adapt to any changes or development that occurs in this environment. So that then is our definition of our macro environment. Our second question then asks, name any 4 components of the macro environment. So the term name means it's only necessary to list the components, and this question specifically asks for 4 components. So we can say political. It's of course our first component, political environment. We can also refer to economical. Oh, my handwriting is terrible. Economic environment. Then of course our social environment. And then our technological. This is the first 4 you will learn about, technological environment. So the question also only asks for 4 components. It's not necessarily needed to give the first 4. You can give any 4. So the last 2 can also be options, and they of course are the legal environment and the environmental environment. All right, so let me just write them here, environmental. So any 4 of these 6 can be your answer that you provide to this question. So those are our components for the macro environment. Question 3 then asks, briefly describe the following components of the macro environment. So describes means you have to answer in full sentences and give a description of each of the components. Now the first component is our political environment. Now remember, political environment refers to the government and the decisions made by government, but it includes the institutional environment. So it can also be any institutions that makes rules which can then impact your business. But when we look at this brief description, it says that the political environment represents the government and its institutions and all the actions or the decisions taken by the government, which then affects your daily business activities. You could also then include your discussion of institutional environments in this answer. I have only then just put the political environment answer in there. But B, then you will see asked for the institutional environment specifically. So here then we will refer to the specific institutions which will make rules for the business. So the first bullet says it refers to the 3 levels of government. You remember, national, regional, provincial levels of government. And it will refer to all laws and rules that are put in place by these institutions that will regulate how our business operates. All right, so that's our description of political and institutional environment. Then C asks for our legal environment description. Now remember, legal, think about law and lawyers and attorneys. So this then will be our laws. All laws passed by government that can have an influence on your business, or it can be rules, any rules implemented that your business must adhere to. All right, then last one, question D asks for our technological environment. So think about all developments or changes that can be made by or in technology that can have an influence on your business. So when we think about the description of our technological environment, it can be all developments in the field of technology. Now, this can include new and innovative knowledge that has been gained through technological development or research that has been done, or even new inventions like new machinery that has been invented that can have an impact on your production rate of your business. So any changes in technology that can have an effect on your business is then a description of our technological environment. So remember, briefly describe means that it has to be in full sentences, but usually you don't have to elaborate as much as if the question asked for a full description. So that is then it for our practice questions. Before we continue with our application questions, it's time for a short break.